Hi friends, welcome to my channel, and today in this video I am going to show you how to set up Home Lab for VMware vSphere. So in last few months I was not recording video, and I was getting a lot of comments, emails on my email ID, which is mentioned below. So how to set up lab and what machine I am using, how to do the configuration for VMware workstation to set up a lab and all those things. So I'm going to cover from starting to end how you can set up your own home lab to do the practice on VMware vSphere stuffs. So in this video I'm going to set up the lab on VMware vSphere 7.x. So basically my vCenter server, ESXi servers all will have a latest build on version 7. So this video is basically useful for VMware administrator, normal administrator or Windows administrator who wants to basically upgrade their skill set on the VMware stuff, and also can help VMware administrator for testing a lot of things like doing the upgrade for ESXi, for vSphere, vCenter server, or lot of other things you can test. Basically, if you don't have a UAT environment in your uh, in your organization, or you want to do some test some new features, new things which you can't test on production, so you can set up a home lab or basically a separate environment on single physical machine, and you can do all those things on basically on a single machine. So let's move ahead and see what are the requirements. So basically here is the hardware and software requirements which I have captured. So so most important thing on the hardware side, you need a physical server. If you don't have a physical server, that is also fine. You need a powerful desktop or workstation. So you can say this is my machine. Basically I got a MSI board, and on MSI board I got Extreme series processor, i7 Extreme series processor, and 128 gig of memory. So I'll show you complete configuration for this machine. So and you need an internet connection by local ISP to get the ISO file downloaded from the internet, and you like extra stuff like keyboard, mouse, monitor, and all those things. And software side, you need a pre-installed operating system on a physical machine. So whatever physical machine server you have, you need to install any Windows operating system. Maybe you can install the anything, Windows client machine, Windows 10, 11, and you can install the Windows servers also. And most important thing, you need a hypervisor, since the all environment is going to deploy on a virtual infrastructure. So on top of your physical machine, you need to deploy one hypervisor. So you can use the VMware workstation, VirtualBox, and others. If you have a MacBook, you can use a Fusion, uh, all those things. And of course last, you need ISO file for like Windows servers, vCenter servers, and ESXi and all. So so since I mentioned here hypervisor, so in this video I'm going to use the VMware workstation. So just to give you understanding what is hypervisor, so basically if you have a physical machine, you can consider a hypervisor is a computer software. Basically this is a software which allow server hardware to create and run virtual machines. So basically on top of one physical machine, you can run multiple virtual machine or multiple servers. So that ability you can get from hypervisor. And you can see hypervisor also allow to create a virtualization layer that separates the CPU, processor, RAM, and all other physical resources like disk. You can create a virtual disk and all those things. So the hypervisor is the key for deploying the virtual environment. So currently you can see there are two type of hypervisor. One is type 1 hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor. So type 1 hypervisor is a bare metal. Basically you can see the hardware and then hypervisor, and then you can get the VMware basically virtual machine. So type 1 hypervisor, this is recommended for production also. So VMware, ESXi, Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix server all come in type 1. So production environment always recommended to have a hypervisor, type 1 hypervisor, basically which is runs on the bare metal. And second side which we are going to use on this, that is require a hardware. On top of that hardware we require a operating system, and then we install a hypervisor, and then you can run a guest virtual machines. So in this video I'm going to use a VMware workstation as a hypervisor. So this is the machine which I'm using here. So you can see the physical machine. I got i7 Extreme series processor, 7800X, and memory 128 GB. You can see that this is the small GPU I have installed on my machine, and operating system running Microsoft Windows 10 Pro. And this disk is basically 1 TB. I got two 1 TB disk on this machine. So if I show you, this is my processor, i7 7800X, 128 gig of memory, and I got two SSD. This is Samsung SSD, and this is again a Samsung SSD. So this is M2 and this is normal SSD. So this is my physical machine. On top of my physical machine I have installed a Windows 10 operating system, which I already told. On top of that I have installed a VMware workstation 16. So if I show you, this is VMware workstation I have already installed. So if I go to about, you can see VMware workstation 16 Pro. So this is the latest build I am running. So, and ISO image, I have all the ISO images from Microsoft, and this thing everyone, like I got a VMware ESXi, vCenter ISOs, I got Windows Server ISOs, and all those things. So make sure once you are ready with the all hardware, you go ahead and download the ISO file. So so kick started the deployment of your infrastructure. So in this demo environment, what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy 4 virtual machine basically on my VMware workstation. First machine is going to Active Directory and DNS server. So this is my domain control going to be, and then we got one vCenter server. So VMware vCenter server, which is again the configuration is given here, and 2 ESXi hosts. So these are the configuration for all the machines. You can see the IP address, host name, vCPU, memory, and operating system which is going to be installed. So this is going to be VCSA 7, and ESXi hosts are going to be VMware ESXi 7. So before I move ahead, I will show you what is the configuration. So basically whatever virtual machine I'm going to create is going to sit under this folder, C drive VMware. So this is my VMware folder where all the virtual machine is going to save. And second thing, network configuration, which is most important. So if you see here, basically I'm going to use a VNet 0. So if you don't have VNet VMnet 0, you can go ahead and add from here. Just click on add, it will add, and you can select a type, you can select the bridge, and then you need to select which adapter you want to use. So in my machine I have multiple adapter, but I'm going to use this one because this is my wireless adapter which is installed on my machine. So I'm getting the internet from this machine, so I want to make sure my lab environment have access to internet. So I'm using this wireless adapter as a USB adapter as a bridge network. So this is all. So now let's go ahead and create first machine. So when you click on here, you will get the typical option. Just click on next and go with the you got the multiple option, but let's go ahead and select I will install the operating system later. Click next, and you need to select the Windows operating system. So first machine we are going to install a Windows Server 2022, and it will have the domain control and DNS. So Win 2K22. So this is going to be a DC01. So just click next and store this virtual disk in single file, and just click on finish. Once you click on finish, you will see here the virtual machine is created. You can go ahead and tweak the memory if you want to do. So I'm going to give 8 gig, 4 cores, and then I'm going to browse my ISO file. So here you will see my ISO files. So Windows Server 22, and then I'm going to select my ISO file, and from here I have selected bridge USB. I don't need, remove it. Sound I don't need, I'll leave it. So printer I will remove and click OK. So now this machine is ready to power on. So I just click on power on and hit enter to start the operating system. So now you can see the setup started, so just click on install. So Windows Server 22 standard with desktop experience, which is going to be GUI. Click next. I accept the Microsoft software license custom, and then I got the disk, so click next. And now installation will take some time, so meanwhile I can go ahead and deploy these two ESXi servers, because this vCenter server need to be deployed on ESXi. So let's go ahead and deploy both ESXi. So again I click create a new virtual machine, click next. I'll install later, operating system later, and here you can select the ESXi, VMWare ESXi, and select your operating system version, and this is going to be ESXi 01. ESXi 01, click next, and then you can select the disk size. So I'm going to give it 50 gig only, and then click on finish. Now click on edit. So you can give the RAM 16 gig RAM is also going to work fine, but I'm going to give 32 gig since I have that, and just click on change the course as per your requirement, and you will see here virtualization engine is enabled by default, because this is a what basically ESXi hypervisor. So you can see this virtualization engine is enabled, and then go ahead and select your ISO. So for ISO you will see here ISO repository, and then you go on VMware, you go here, and then you need to select the latest build. So this is my latest build which I have downloaded yesterday only. So open, and then make it bridge, and then remove the USB controller. So you can follow the same setting to deploy a new machine also. So just clone, next, full clone. You can follow this method also. If you don't want, you can go ahead and deploy a new machine. So I recommend to go ahead and deploy a new machine. So this is going to be ESXi 02. Click next, give the size for the disk, click next, click on finish. Now you can go ahead and do the tweak. So this is fine. You need to attach the ISO. So here's the ISO, bridge network, and remove the USB. Now this both machine are good to power on, so I have just power on both the machine. So now you can see both machine are booting. So now you can see this OS installation is done for this domain controller basically. So we'll go ahead and install the VMware tools also on this machine. So just hit Ctrl+Del, and then put the credential. So now you can see both the ESXi are booting. So now you can go ahead, and first thing you have to do, install the VMware tools. And what next, you can go ahead and change the machine name. So just change the machine name to Win2. So before doing the domain promotion, you make sure your domain controller name is renames what you want to put as a name. So you can see this name is now changed, and the installation for VMWare tools is also done. So what next? I'm going to configure the manual IP address on this machine just to make sure you have a static IP address on all the servers. So 192.168.168.0.201, and this is going to be my gateway, and primary DNS is this server only, since this is going to be domain controller, and this is all good. Now we can go ahead and reboot the server. So I'm just rebooting this machine. These two machines are still booting, so give some time. So now you can see this machine is back, so just log in, and now it's time to promote this server as Active Directory and DNS server. So let's go ahead and do that. So before doing that, you just come and confirm the computer name and IP address is good, and now you can change the time zone and all those settings also if you want. So I'm in India, so just selecting my current zone. So this is good, so all look good. So you can verify the services also, everything good. Now you can go ahead and add role and feature, click next. So this is a role based installation since we wanted to promote Active Directory. So you can verify the server name, IP address once again, click next, and you need to select Active Directory domain services and click next. Just leave default, next, and just click on install. So this will install the binary. Post the binary installation, you need to promote this server as a domain controller, so we'll do that also. So now you can see both ESXi 1 and 2 are good to go for the installation. So you can see the welcome to ESXi 7.0.3. so this is the latest build. So F11 I accept, and again it will do some scanning for a few seconds, and then it will ask for the credential. So you can see the disk, 50 GB disk, so click enter, and keyboard US default, and now it's time to set the password. So set the root password for the ESXi, and now we are good to go and click F11 to install. So now you can see the installation started on ESXi 1. Do the same for ESXi 2 as well. So hit enter, and password for root, and F11. So installation started, so it will take few seconds, I guess. So 46 already completed. So now this is going to be a complete new Active Directory environment. So you need to select the new forest, and you need to type the name. So labs and so on .lan. This is going to be my domain name, and same as a forest. So now it will ask for to set the directory service recovery password. So configure your password here. So click next, and now it will give you the DNS option. So click next, and it will show you NetBIOS name, so which is going to be labs hands-on. So it will take some time. So you can see the NetBIOS name, click next, and now it will show you the Active Directory path where the database and all thing related to database logs, sysvol is going to store. So I'm going to use the default, click next, and this is the all wizard which we have selected, and if you want you can go ahead and keep this script also with you if you want to promote more domain controllers. So now you can see this doing the pre-validation checklist, pre-request checklist and all, and once this is fine, this is validated, you can see all pre-request check pass successfully, click install. So now what will happen, this server is going to be promoted as a domain controller. Also you will see the DNS role is going to be installed during this installation. So now this will take some time, and once the installation is completed, it will auto reboot the machine. So you can see waiting for DNS installation to finish. So it's installing the DNS group policy and also it will take some time. So you can see the installation is completed. So go ahead and hit enter to reboot. So I'm going to hit enter on both the ESXi to reboot. And once this is back, what we need to do, we need to do the basic configuration, like put the host name, domain name and the IP address configuration on both the ESXi hosts. So we'll do that. So meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more disk, which is going to be a 50 GB disk. Let's add 500 GB. So I'm going to add 500 GB disk. On both the ESXi, and it will be going to use as a local data store, local storage you can say. So we will create a local data store on the both ESXi hosts. So I have added one disk. So now you can see DC01 is rebooting. So this is good. So almost we are ready with Active Directory server. So we just need to validate few things and do the some basic configuration on the DNS side, and then we are good to go. So now meanwhile you can see both the server rebooted, and you can see it's getting the IP address from this server. So let's wait for some time, complete the installation on DC01, and then we will go ahead for the configuration on both the ESXi host. Now machine is booted and you can see labs hands-on / administrator. So this machine is successfully promoted as a domain controller. So just to verify few things, you can go ahead and verify the seems this got DNS IP address you need to validate. So I'm just going to validate the DNS IPs. So you can see the DNS got removed. So I will configure the DNS again. So first thing, you need to check your DNS is correctly configured 201, and then your gateway, or either you can configure Google DNS also, Fortinet, anything which you allow to get connected with the internet. So this is good. So now next thing, you need to verify. You can see the Active Directory and DNS both is installed. So this is good. So now let's verify the Active Directory first. So click on tools, go to Active Directory users and computers. So from here you can see labs and domain, and just go ahead and create few OUs here. So I'm going to create LHO. Under the LHO I'll create users, groups, and servers, workstations. So this is good. So we have created few OUs, and you can create as per your requirement, basically whatever you want to test. If you want to create few users for to do the role based access testing in VMware infrastructure, you can do that. So now let's verify the DNS. So if you see here, DNS is created. So this is good. Now you need to configure the reverse lookup. So I'm going to do the reverse lookup. So just click, basically you need to do a right click and go to new zone, then click next, and then you will see the zone type. So select the primary zone and all DNS server running on domain controller in this domain. Either you can select the forest also, where you want to replicate based on your requirement. So this is reverse lookup for IPv4, and I'm going to use my network, which is 192.168.0. So this is going to a network ID for reverse lookup. So click next and Done. Now you can see the reverse lookup zone is created. And now next thing what you need to do, you need to create these DNS records with the FQDN for vCenter and both the ESXi host. So I'm going to do that. So put the host name and VCSA and whatever IP address you want to configure in your environment, and select the PTR record to be created. This is done. Now ESXi 01 and then put the IP address 192 whatever you want to configure in your environment. So add, and the final one ESXi 02 and put the IP address. So this is good. Now basically on Active Directory side, on Windows Server side, we are done with all the configuration, everything green. So now we can move ahead with the configuration on this ESXi. So I'm going to log in on ESXi 01 first. So what we need to do, we need to do a basic setting like change the host name and do the IP address configuration. So since this is taking from currently it's taking from the DHCP, so I'm going to change it to IPv4 and use the static, and then I'm going to configure as per my lab setup to basically it's going to be a 211 and rest is good. IPv6 I'm going to disable, I don't want to use it, and DNS also static. So primary DNS server I want to put 201 and alternate 8.8.8.8 and ESXi host name I'm going to put ESXi 01. So this is good, and custom DNS suffix which is my labs hands-on dot LAN. So this is good. Now just go ahead and press the escape button and it will ask you to do the reboot host, since we changed the host name and management IP address and all those things. So this should be fine. Just click on Y and it will restart the host, and same thing let's do it for host 2 also. So log into host 2 and then press F2 and then configure management network. You need to come to IPv4 static and then type your IP address 212 and then disable IPv6. On the DNS you need to use the static DNS and 201 which is our domain controller, and put the alternative DNS, and then you need to type the host name and final your domain name. So labs hands-on .lan, and this is good. Just press escape button and Y to reboot the host. So now you can see the ESXi 01 is rebooted successfully. So you can see the host name and IP address all good. So now what you can do, you can go ahead and do the ping test and NS lookup. So NS lookup, I'm going to do ESXi 01. So you can see the lookup is happening. ESXi 02 both good. So now let's go ahead and just do the ping. So ping is good for ESXi 01, 02 also. So now we verified both the ESXi is configured and on the network, so we are good. So let's go ahead and verify once from the browser. So https:// and ESXi 01 dot labs hands-on.lan. So now you can see we're able to log in. So this is good. Just type the root, admin and password. So you can see here no data store configured. So this is our first task which we are going to use, and this is running on evaluation mode, so this is fine. So now the first thing, we need to go to storage, since we have added one 500 GB disk on this machine. So you can see here it will be visible under the storage, under the devices. You will see here 500 GB disk. Now what you need to create, you just click on new data store, create a new VMFS data store, click next. You will see here 501 GB disk. So just type it ESXi01 local ds local data store, just click next and use the complete space and just click on finish. Now you can see this machine having local storage network is also configured, so management and VM network both are configured on one single NIC. So this is lab, since this is lab we can go ahead with one NIC. So this is good. Let's try same thing with host 2 and make sure host 2 is also good. So .lan, and also you can verify the host configuration from here also, like ESXi01, you can see everything which is here. And now root and password for root account, and this is fine. Let's go ahead and create the storage. You can see the storage is 0 bytes, so let's go ahead and create a new data store. So 500 GB disk is also attached to this machine. ESXi02 local ds, and we are done. So now basically we are done with 3 machine setup. So Active Directory and DNS server is ready, both the ESXi hosts are ready. Now this is our last and final machine which we need to deploy to get the environment ready for the lab. So I have downloaded the VCSA image. So you can see VMware, this is the 7.0.3 and build is given here. So let's go ahead and double click on it. So it will map the virtual media here. So you can go here and then you need to go to VCSA UI installer, and then since we are running from Windows, so Windows 32, and then go ahead and run the installer file. This is the exe file, and then get the big maximize it, and then you can see the multiple options like install, upgrade, migrate, restore. So this is a fresh installation, so we need to click on install and vCenter. So this is 2-step deployment. So first we need to deploy the appliance and then set up the vCenter. So this is the first stage. So just click on next, accept the license agreement, click next, and then here you need to put the ESXi host or vCenter name. So here our ESXi host is a ESXi01 dot labs hands-on labs hands-on dot LAN. So this is our FQDN. Either you can use the IP address also. So and the credential for this ESXi host, so root and root account password. Now you can see this got the connection, so it's giving SSL certificate related warning. So click yes. Now it will validate the things. Now you can see here what are the virtual machine name you want to configure. So let's give it VCSA, and what is the root password. So I'm going to configure the root password here. Click next. And what are there are different type of builds which you want to deploy. So this is the demo environment, lab environment. So I'm going to do the 10A, which will have 2 CPU, 12 GB of memory, and this is the size, and you can see it can manage up to 10 hosts and 100 machines. So this is fine for our environment. And storage is also going to be default. You have the multiple versions, so I'm going to select the default, click next, and you can see all the local storage data storage visible which we have created, ESXi01, and I'm going to enable the thin disk mode for this. Just click on next. Now you will see all the configuration. So this is the only network available on the ESXi01, IPv4 and static. And now I'm going to put the FQDN for VM. So going to be VCSA dot labs hands on dot LAN. So you just make sure this name is getting resolved. So ns lookup, so it's a you can see this is resolving, so just make sure before putting it you have typed correctly. So this is the name, so cls ns lookup, and then make sure your FQDN and IP address is correct, otherwise it can fail that deployment. So 202 and prefix, so this is 24-bit, and then what are gateway I have, and DNS server if you have a multiple DNS server, so let's use this one, and if you have multiple you can give the comma and then configure the second DNS, and port you can see ATN443, which is going to be consumed by deployment VCSA. So just click on next, and this is final time. If you want you can validate the things, and if anything wrong you can go ahead and go back and do the changes. So just click on finish. So now you will see stage 1 is started, deploy vCenter server. So now if you go on your ESXi 01, you can see the virtual machine is created now. So it will take some time to import the virtual machine. Basically this is few GB setup, so it will take some time. So once this deployment is done, it will power on your virtual machine VCSA appliance, and then you can proceed with the stage 2. So I'm going to pause the recording till the time this is deploying the vCenter appliance. So now if you see waiting for RPM installation to start it, so 80% deployment is completed status. If you can see now, if I go here and see, you can see the appliance is started now and it's doing some script installation and other thing. So now almost your vCenter deployment is completed. Now it will take few more seconds or minute based on the your machine speed to get this deployment finished, and then you can proceed with the stage 2. So let's wait for few more seconds. So now deployment is almost completed, 99%. Now you can see the stage 1 is successfully completed, and now if you see our host is ready. ESXi on top of ESXi 01 VCSA's deployment is completed, and you can see the HTTP page and IP address to configure. So let's go ahead and click on continue. So it will do now the configuration part. So you can see the stage 1 is completed. Now you can move with the stage 2. So just click on next, and time sync, if you want to disable enable you can do it. So I'm going to sync with my ESXi host, that is fine. So click next. Now it will ask you the SSO configuration, what name you want to put. So I'm going to put here the default one, which is vSphere .local and administrator password. For administrator account, so this account is going to be administrator at vSphere.local. So just click on next, and now you can, based on your choice, you can join or not. So click on next. Now this is the final thing it's going to show you. Basically this is already deployed. Network configuration you can ignore, so you can say this is already deployed, and if you want to check you can see from here. Also if you want to do the ping test, another test, ping VCSA, so you can see the ping is coming, so all good. Just it will do the second configuration part. So click on finish. and once you click on start, it will not going to stop. So go ahead and click OK. So now this configuration will take some time to do the configuration part. Meanwhile, this is the lab setup, but if you want to see the basic lab setup, but if you want to do advanced training on VMware vSphere, so what you can do, you can just search on YouTube, you can search for labs hands-on, and you will see this channel. On this channel you can go on playlist, and you can see here I got multiple videos for VMware vSphere 7, and then 6.5, 6.7 and all those things, and even for VMware disaster recovery and SRM and all those things. So if you want to see the advanced training with all the steps, you can go here and you can see there are a lot of content. So total 27 videos. You will see each and everything whatever related to advanced configuration related to VMware vSphere 7 deployment and configuration. So you can see role-based access, how you can configure the shared storage with vCenter and ESXi, then how you can configure the multipathing, and all those cool stuff are there. So you can do some advanced training, how to do a vMotion, storage vMotion, and all those things are available if you want to do advanced training on and you want to test it in your environment. So these all videos I have recorded in the same machine. You can follow this complete series and you can do practice for all the VMware stuff. So let's wait for a few more minutes to get this installation done, and then we will do the final check for the environment which we have deployed. So few more things, like a lot of time I get the queries like whenever you create a multiple NICs, you add a different switch, or how you configure. So basically you don't need to add you don't need to have a physical network available on your machine. What you can do, just click on add network, and what you can do, once the NIC is added, you can configure host only, and then you can give any network adapter. If you don't have a network adapter, what you can do, you can go ahead and select the, from here if you go to device manager, you can install the virtual adapter which is loopback adapter. So I'll show you how to do that also. So just go ahead and add a legacy hardware, click on next and search for the legacy, then click next, and here if you go on network adapters, click next, and you will see here Microsoft. Just select on Microsoft and you will see here loopback adapter. So Microsoft KM test loopback adapter. So let's see, this is very easy to install. Let's see if you want to have a separate network for storage connectivity. So you can go ahead and in your virtual network and just click add, and here what you can do, just click on add one more network, VM2, and here you can select your loopback adapter and just click on apply. So this is done. And now if you want to have a separate network dedicated for storage connectivity only, then what you can do, you can add this second adapter on your machines. Just go here and you can go add network, and from here you can select VM2. So this VM2 is going to use for storage connectivity. So this way, if you want to add a multiple network in your environment, you can do that for testing, and you can do all the different type of testing. If you want to do a different type of network testing, like different connection for each storage, vMotion, and production connectivity, heartbeat, and all those things. You can add n number of virtual adapters and you can do all those testing. So also again, it's not limited to one NIC loopback adapter. If you want to add a multiple loopback adapter, you can go ahead and easily update it. So further, if you have any question related to this configuration, if you want to ask anything related to lab environment setup, you can always drop me an email or you can do a comment on my video so I can go and reply you. So just give few more minutes, and once this is done, what we will do the final checkup. We will go ahead and log into vCenter and add these two ESXi hosts on our vCenter and make sure these two ESXi hosts are added to our vCenter. So it will take another few minutes, I guess. So just hold down. So now you can see the stage 2 is also completed. So go ahead and click on this URL. So it will launch the vCenter login console. So this is good. Just go ahead and click on advanced, continue, launch vSphere. So now you can see we are logging to UI, and type your password here, administrator, vSphere.local, and then your password. So now you can see the vCenter is information version 7.0.3. so this is good. Just go ahead and now create data center. So this is called LHO Home Lab, and then inside this data center, let's go ahead and add the host. So host is ESXi 01 dot labs hands-on dot LAN. Click next, and then password for this ESXi host. Click next, and it will give you the summary. So ESXi host, make, model, version, or virtual machine if this have. So VCSA is one virtual machine on this, and assign license. So we are going to use affiliation. So lockdown mode, go ahead with disable. So VM location, just go ahead with default and click on finish. So now you can see it will add our first host. Let's go ahead and add the second host as well as. So ESXi 02 dot labs hands-on dot LAN. Click next, and credential for this host to connect, and click yes, and you can verify the information. This host does not have virtual machine, so it will not show you. So this is good. Just go ahead and click on finish. So now you can see we have created one data center, and inside one data center we got two hosts added, and this host having one virtual machine. So this is good. Now you can see the virtual machine view. One virtual machine is there, and on storage view you can also see ESXi 01 local storage, and the one network which we have a VMnet, you can see connected with two hosts. So this is good. So now we have finished the installation, and we have successfully configured the home lab for VMWare vSphere. So again, this is the basic setup for home lab, and if you want to do the advanced training or any advanced type of configuration things, go ahead and check on labs hands-on YouTube channel, and you will get a lot of content there. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe me for more videos. And if you have any query, any question related to this, you can always post me on my given mail IDs. Thank you once again. Bye bye.